What's going on, guys? You know, I spend a lot of time out here in the woods. I'm truly blessed. I have this 100 acres that I get to come out and work, and you know, I'm trying to turn it into a farm here, of course, with the prices being what they are now versus what they were when my wife and I bought this property. The goal is getting harder and harder to attain and to achieve. So, you know, oftentimes I'm deep in thought out here when I'm in these moments of silence out in the woods and stuff. And I highly recommend you guys go out and find you a place where you can clear your mind and, you know, focus on everything that you've got going on in your life, the things you can control, the things that are out of your control. You don't want to obsess about those things that are out of your control, but at the same time, you need to be aware of them. One of those things that is on my radar right now and is constantly on my radar. I've talked about it a whole lot here on my YouTube channel because I think it's very important, and it's the New World Order. That's what I'm talking about. The Great Reset, Build Back Better, Agenda 21, 2030, whatever you want to call it. These global elites have their minds set on taking control and taking power away from sovereign individuals, people that are like living in the United States and other free countries, other westernized countries around the world. The communist countries seem to be just business as usual. There's nothing really changing there. And I find it very interesting that right now, as the Davos meetings are going on, I'm not sure if that's an annual thing or every other year or what the deal is, but the Davos meetings are going on right now, and Klaus Schwab, the supervillain, is down there talking about how he wants to take control away from me and you. And it's the same thing. They're saying the same things that they say every year. And the problem is that there are a lot of elitists out there that have this attitude of, we know what's best for the poors. We know what to do where the poor people don't have any idea what to do. That's why they're poor. We must be smarter than them, on and on and on. It's really nothing new. I mean, since the beginning of time, when someone figured out that they wanted to be the leader of that, of that group, and they took and asserted themselves and took power through any means necessary, whether that be violence or whether that was because they were the smartest person in the group and they really should have been the leader. That rarely happens in history. Usually it's the most aggressive, the most violent, the one that has the ability to rule through fear, that actually takes and holds power in this world. For my studies of history, that's what I found, is it's the most violent, craziest ones that seem to get into power and hold power the longest. So I don't want to rehash all of history. I want to talk about what's going on now. You have these people that are in power, that are uber rich, and they have lots of power because they can control large sectors of the economy. So that gives them the ability to lobby politicians around the world with their money and their influence to make them do what they want them to do. And that's why we keep seeing these same things happen. It's because these, I don't want to say monopolies, because many of them aren't really monopolies, but in some cases they are monopolies. These super mega corporations have so much power and influence that your politician, your representative, is going to listen to them over the voice of we the people. And therein lies the problem. It's money in politics is a big part of the problem right now. But, since the 70s, they've been pushing this fear campaign of climate change, global warming. I remember at one point they said it was going to be an ice age, and, just whatever they have to say at the time to scare the most people. And we just went through the biggest fear campaign I've ever seen in any history books ever, with the whole COVID-19 thing, and the way the media, the politicians, everyone was pushing, the thing that we're not allowed to talk about. And, the censorship, of course, that came along with all that. It's just unbelievable. And that all comes from globalist policies, whether it be the World Economic Forum with Klaus Schwab and the UN, Agenda 21. Those are one and the same now. Whether it be that or, the World Health Organization. All of these people are headed by, what seems to be just sociopaths or maybe psychopaths that have no desire for anyone else to come up behind them. That's what at the end of the day, to cut to the chase, what is this? It's these rich people burning the bridge behind them so no one else can achieve what they have achieved in their family or in their group there, right? So, I mean, it really is greed. It's not money is the root of all evil. It's greed is the root of all evil. These people that have so much money, they couldn't possibly spend it all in the rest of their life if they tried all the way, went full bore trying to spend all their money. It wouldn't even be possible for them to spend that much money because it's just humanly impossible. They have so many billions and billions of dollars. And I'm not begrudging people that have that. That's the difference between us and them. There's something about it when you hit a certain level of wealth, you start looking around at the other people, the poors. Again, anybody that's beneath you is considered the poors. They don't care if you're middle class, if you've got a great family and you're, and maybe they resent us for that. Maybe they resent us for our happiness, for our ability to, to not have as much as them, but make do with what we have and be satisfied with what we have. And I mean, I don't know, I'm speculating here, but that could be part of it, is that they're actually jealous of the middle class because they're able to have something that the super wealthy can't have. Whether that be true love, true friendship, I mean, it would be tough to be a super elite person like that you wouldn't be able to trust anyone, because you might always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, this person's just my friend because I'm rich and they want me to dole out some money. And, so that would be a really tough situation to be in. And I feel for those people. The problem is most of these people are clinical sociopaths. They have no compassion or emotions towards how you're feeling. They don't even consider your feelings. They don't even think about that sort of stuff. They don't consider the fact that you're perfectly satisfied at the place where you are now. And you, of course, want to strive for greatness and for more and more and more, but the older I get, the more I'm convinced that I wouldn't want to be a multi-billionaire especially. Maybe a millionaire might be all right because then you could kind of, relax a little bit more and not have to worry about as many things. But then again, I mean, the way we're going with this inflation, we may all have to be millionaires before it's over to be able to survive in this system. It's just unreal. They're devaluing our dollar right before our eyes. And yes, that ties in with the Great Reset, with Build Back Better. It's all part of the same plan. So they won't tell you that right out front. Unfortunately, they're not honest enough to, very few politicians especially are honest enough to actually say what this really is. It's a global agenda. It's been going on here in the United States at least since the 1960s, I'm going to say, maybe even early 1900s. Some would say the creation of the Fed was the thing that actually killed America in the long run. I don't know if that's it or not. I know the founding fathers were dead set against a centralized banking system because they realized that whoever controlled the value of money controlled the people by default. So that's one of the reasons Thomas Jefferson, especially early Thomas Jefferson, he was very much an agrarian. He believed every citizen had a duty to go out there and have your own little farm. And I'm not saying, and Thomas wasn't saying that you had to have some massive 100-acre farm where, you're actually selling everything. He just meant, to be able to at least have enough food for your own family. You produce your own food. That's a form of power. And right now, these globalists are trying to take that away from us. They don't want us to be able to farm anymore. I mean, look at what's going on over in Europe, especially. Over 300 farms, was that Dutch farms, I believe? 300 farms just seized by the government. I mean, it's in your face now. Over in Europe and over in Australia, they've turned up to level 11 already. So they're dialing this stuff way up over there because they're trying to see what they can get away with. They're just like, that kid that's looking to get away with something. They're feeling the corners. They're finding out, okay, how far can we push people? And what really shocks me is because the American people and the westernized peoples around the world are so drunk on bread and circus, and so distracted and afraid because they're drunk on comfort, and they're afraid to disrupt that comfort. No matter how little comfort they actually have, it's some form of comfort. So they're afraid to, to rock the boat. They're afraid to rock the boat. They're afraid to be the squeaky wheel. And I am baffled by that. How few people know about the New World Order agenda and are willing to talk about it openly, and can talk about people like Klaus Schwab and his whole idea of the Great Reset, that it never quit. Just because the COVID is now over, in our eyes, they're still going full force on the Great Reset. His whole thing about cyber polygon or something like that, where it was a test that the WEF ran to see what would happen if a massive global internet/power outage were to happen. It was just a simulation, of course, but it reminded me of Event 201. And speaking of that, they had another Event 201. They didn't call it that, but it was another test run of what it's going to be like next time. So these people are clearly supervillains. And I know we've watched so many James Bond movies and so many other movies, with like Austin Powers, with Dr. Evil, that you just can't hardly believe in your mind that people like that exist, but they do. You and I can't relate to that because we're not sitting there on piles of billions of dollars trying to figure out how we can meddle in other people's lives. We're trying to work on our own lives. These people have had so much time and so much money and so much power that they can actually screw you at your place. And that's what they're doing, guys. That's what they're doing right now down at Davos. That's what they're doing anytime these global elites get together and they hash up some scheme to take away your rights. Whether that be through in the name of environmentalism or water rights or, just on and on and on. Whether you're allowed to own a firearm. The Second Amendment shall not be infringed. They don't give a shit about any of that stuff. That's exactly the things they're going to go for are, it'll start out small, like bump stocks and pistol braces and things like that. But then the next thing you know, you'll have to have a fingerprint ID or something to even work a gun, and then or ammunition that's serialized or something like that, so that they'll always be able to trace it back to that point of sale and trace you down. And I mean, it's just, this place is becoming so Orwellian. I no longer recognize it as America, as the United States of America. I hardly recognize my countrymen. I recognize some of you. You come into the comments and we talk about these sorts of issues and what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. But I'm in a red state here. Everybody around me should be kind of on the same page of, hey, we got to fight back against the New World Order. But these people, they don't have a clue about it. And I get it. They're so busy with working and whatever that they're tired when they get home, and all they want to do is just relax and not think about, stress until the next day. I get it, but meanwhile, these people, the global elites, are stealing your liberty. They're stealing your ability to be free in the future, your kids' ability. And Americans in the past would have been doing stuff by now. That's all I want to say, because I don't want to incriminate myself or anybody else. I don't want you to come into the comments and incriminate yourself, because I guarantee you I've got FBI and CIA handlers that watch my channel. For what? For talking about the Constitution, for talking about liberty, for talking about Christianity, being free, being self-reliant. These are things that the New World Order cannot stand. Some say we're beating them back, and that the COVID 1984 plan failed miserably and we're actually winning. But I don't know. When I look around and I hear about all these stories every day, and these are just the celebrities that we're hearing about, but the died suddenly people, that's hardly getting any attention. Even that, I don't know if I can even say that now. It's just, I'll be honest, I'm scared. I'm scared for the future. I'm scared for my kid. I'm scared for people that aren't paying any attention, because when the rug gets jerked out from underneath them, it's going to hit them really, really hard. And they're not going to be very informed on what actually happened. And, a lot of people are saying, oh, we need a civil war or whatever. No, we don't need a civil war. We need a revolution in thinking. a breakaway from the machine that has everyone by the short hairs. I mean, it's just unreal how much control these cell phones, do I have mine on me? No, it's over there. But it's unreal how much control and monitoring is going on these cell phones, and people still accept it. We voluntarily carry this stuff around. We voluntarily go buy a new car that has GPS in the name of convenience, but we don't think about the fact that they could track you and trace you, and most of these new cars built after 2024 are going to have an automatic cutoff switch on them, so they can just cut you off. You are a prisoner in a digital prison. You walked right in it. I walked right in it with the advents of the cell phone and the internet. And again, the whole internet's not bad. It's just they've taken control of it. They can control the narrative. They control the horizontal and the vertical. I don't have the answers, but I know what I'm trying to do is control the things that I can control in my own life and become as self-reliant as I possibly can. I'm doing constant research on animal husbandry, like we're looking into goats. Look at this land here. This would be perfect land for goats. In some of my pastures, I could probably run some sheep. We're talking about getting into some quail for our normal homestead, where this is not where my house is right now. I'm planning to build a house here, but that's, you know, again, that all depends on the economy and a lot of other things that are coming. And I'm in a bind because I want to hurry up and build something and install a wood stove in it before they ban my ability to install a wood stove. I mean, look around me here. I could cut standing dead wood for the rest of my life and never cut down a green tree and have plenty of wood to keep my house warm. So that's all the stuff they want to take away. Your gas stove. Now, they've since backed off of that because they realized how foolish that made them look. But that doesn't mean it's over. They're just going to wait a while and then do it again in another way. The New World Order is here, guys. Freedom and liberty can only be attained on your own homestead, on your own farm, on your own land, while you can do it. So I suggest you get out there and do it now. That's the best way to fight back, is to become less dependent on the system. I don't think anyone can be 100% off grid. I can't make this shirt that I'm wearing here, or this hat, or a pair of glasses. So there's always going to be some things that you have to purchase from outside. But if you could limit that to very little, that would be a lot better. And not only that, you'd be a lot healthier just from growing your own food and, you know, raising your own livestock. You know, eating meat that's not full of hormones and other vaccines. I don't know if you've heard, but Bill Gates is now working on mRNA vaccines for cattle and other livestock. I don't know about you, but that scares me to death. I don't want any part of that in my body. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't believe people are tolerating it. At the end of the day, as we're losing light here, I just can't believe people are tolerating this. So anyway, I just wanted to ramble a little bit about the New World Order and see what you guys thought about it. I'm going to cut the video off because we're losing our light. I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to go out here and rip around on the Bombardier for a while before I lose all my light and have a good time and try not to worry about it. But I'm going to constantly be researching how I could be more self-reliant. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty. I hope you do too.